Good evening, dear friends. So, the time has come when we finally talk about such a phenomenon as creaking in the joints when they rotate. Many people are concerned about such a situation when a person starts to make any movement and his joint creaks. And here, some people are not bothered by it. Well, it creaked once, it doesn't creak anymore, while others start to worry. And this second category of people, they start doing different things so that this joint of theirs doesn't creak. And here, for instance, a man discovered creaks, and two paths of further action, so to speak, arise. The first one is a medicamentous pharmacological measure to restore joint mobility and eliminate so-called creak-like sounds in the joint. That is pharmacological methods. And the second, various mechanical exercise methods to restore quiet movement in the joints. But some really need the joint to move quietly. The work is connected with the need to blend in unnoticed. Something there. A person works, let's say, as a pickpocket or, for example, there. Well, not those who sneak in through the windows when there's no one home, let's say, homeowners, but those who are so brazen that they need to break in even when the homeowners haven't left. If his joint clicks at the moment when he, let's say, is working, it becomes a professional inconvenience. And secondly, the so-called exercise to eliminate these clicks. Two such ways. The confusion lies in what to choose or whether to combine options. It's unclear. And what comes to a person's mind to do so that his joints don't crack? Start doing joint gymnastics. We have a lot of joint gymnastics on the internet. Marbakov in general, various, they're Shishonen, Moshonen. In general, there are a lot of them. They all suggest that we rotate our joints in one direction, then the other. We rotate all the joints, we rotate them like this, in short, we rotate them here and there. It seems good, something is rotating, turning, but it still crunches. Everyone who starts to twist their joints, they inevitably find that when they start to rotate the joint, at least somewhere a crunch appears. Especially with the sacroiliac joint, they start to rotate, twist, and they all complain. When I twist one joint, it doesn't crunch. I twist the other, it crunches. Wait a little, both will crunch. And these exercises, many people love to do this with their joints in the morning, these joint gymnastics. They think that the function of the joints improves from the fact that it twists and turns like this. And in the gym, many people love to warm up with such intense movements. That is, they twist their arms forward and backward intensively before, for example, doing bench press. He spins his arm like a propeller. Once a woman was being treated. She couldn't lift her arm like this. She couldn't lift her arm. It lifted like this, but then, it hurts. She couldn't lift it further. And in general, her arm was cured. She started to lift it here and there, but she still says something hurts. Something is not quite right. I ask her when it hurts. At what moment? Like this, when I twist my arm just like this, as if a propeller started to spin, the wind almost blew me away. Like this, when I twist my arm, it hurts like this. Why are you spinning like that? Calm down. I stopped her, caught her arm. She didn't stop, kept spinning, started to lift off a bit. No, she didn't start. I'm joking. She stayed on the ground but was spinning so fast the curtains began to flutter. And in general, why, I ask? Are you spinning your arm like that? Why don't you pity your arm? What has it done to you? She says, I'm doing joint gymnastics because it's beneficial to spin the arm like this. I say, no, stop, this is not beneficial. I will now explain why. And here's what I told her. Now I'll tell you. Listen carefully. So, watch this. Let's assume. The same thing with the shay. Many people like to twist their heads like this, and then they ask, can I twist my head like this? Because when I twist my head like this, my head spins after that. Why do you twist then, if your head is spinning? Why are you doing this? Why do you need the ability to twist your head like this? How often do you use these movements in life? How often do we do this in life? If your job is related, for example, you juggle, let's say, your job is related to such movements. Or you are a regulator, let's say, there go by, you say. And you do something like this, then, please, warm up before this, do these movements. If these movements are not necessary in your life, forget them a little forever. So, in general, let's say we took a joint, any. Here is the shoulder joint, let's say we took, and the hip joint we took. 2 joints. For the first time, that's enough for us. Here we took them and divided all the muscles. Just like that, we'll simply divide them, like butchers. We won't separate each one individually. In general, we will have muscles that make a movement here, then make a movement there, and then make a movement back, just like these. In this joint, there are all those that move in different directions. We will limit ourselves to these. And now, if I start to slowly rotate this joint, these muscles, one of them is straining now. One, the anterior deltoid, is straining together with the middle one. Then the middle one more, the trapezius along with them. Here the posterior deltoid is already engaged. Here is a slightly wider muscle. Here further is an even wider one. Here the pectoral is slightly, the serratus muscle has started, the anterior deltoid. And slowly, when I do, now I'm doing it slowly. All of this manages to engage one after the other. There is time to switch from one muscle to another muscle. If I start doing this quickly now, like this, I get a moment of inertia. See, it spins on its own inertia. Uncontrollable. A moment of inertia occurs. And some muscles. For example, not all of mine are perfect. Not like mine, but someone else's. In short, for example, not all of my muscles are perfect, like these. Not everyone can develop the same strength and switch from one to another very quickly. And one of them is shorter, one of them is longer. And I will manage to make this joint shell. It will change its distances. These are the 2 joint surfaces. For example, let's say my anterior deltoid is still somewhat functional, but the middle one is bad, and the posterior one is very bad. I will manage to do a movement launching myself without them switching over to me. The next one works, but the widest one doesn't work at all for me. The chest remains mostly still, though strained. One breath, labored. And I will manage to do it so that at some point the load from the muscles will shift to my ligaments, and one muscle won't have time to relax, the other will strain. And here, I will get a microtrauma. I will do it. My joint capsule will gradually stretch, traumatize, inflame. In general, there was such a good capsule, so elastic, and it will become such like some kind of incomprehensible rag. In general, it gets traumatized from these movements. Here. And the more I do these movements twist, the more risk I have of getting this trauma. If before this I ideally did not bring all these muscles into perfect condition just to twist my arm later, it's unclear for what. This exercise is risky and ineffective, providing no benefits. The only thing, for example, you want to swim on your back, you will swim. Before you swim, or you will swim with this crawl before you swim. You can do this, stretch out, but even then it's better to do it slowly. How so, you ask? Gym enthusiasts, for example, they will ask, well, I'm stretching like this, and I will tell him like this. If you, for example, will be doing bench press, you will stop, stretch with the same movement that you will be doing. If you're going to press, then you stretch with the press. Just with a small weight, with an empty barbell or imitation. Well, you don't need an imitation. Do it with an empty bar. Stretch, warm up, do it once. Then you'll see how you feel. If you want to do, for example, well, in general, you warm up with the same movement that will be your main one, just with less load. You warm up with bench press. You do 100-kilogram bench press, you warm up with 20. You do a pull, you warm up with the same pull, but less. There are trainers, there are different ones. That's the situation. This is the first part. These are the ones who wants to stop all this movement. And the second part, we won't talk about it now. And so we've spent a lot of time with you. We need to transition now. How much time have we already missed? A new series is coming out, so let's get back quickly, close this, and continue watching. Okay, fine.